What if the biggest obstacle to your success isn't outside of you? Not your environment, not your opportunities, not even your discipline. What if the resistance is coming from inside you, quietly, consistently, without you noticing? Because there is a part of you that wants progress, but there is also a part of you that resists it. And the strange thing is, both feel like you. At first, this doesn't show up as sabotage. It shows up as hesitation. You start something, then slow down. You get an idea, then wait for the right time. You feel momentum, then suddenly lose it. And you don't question it deeply. You explain it. You call it timing. You call it caution. You call it being realistic. But underneath those explanations, something else is happening. There is a version of you that is familiar with your current level, not just financially, but emotionally. It knows how you behave here. It knows what is expected. It knows what feels safe. And anything beyond that feels uncertain. Not necessarily dangerous, just unfamiliar. And the mind treats unfamiliarity like a warning, not always logically, but emotionally. So when you begin to move towards something bigger, something better, that internal system quietly responds. It slows you down. It creates doubt. It introduces hesitation where clarity used to exist. Not because it hates your success, but because it doesn't recognize it yet. Have you ever noticed how close you get before pulling back? A decision almost made, a risk almost taken, a change almost started, and then something shifts internally. A thought appears, maybe not yet, and you believe it's wisdom, but sometimes it's resistance wearing the voice of caution. Because change doesn't only require action, it requires identity adjustment. And identity doesn't update easily. It lags behind your intentions. So you remain in a loop, not stuck because you lack potential, but because part of you is still negotiating with growth, trying to keep things familiar while reaching for something unfamiliar. And that tension creates delay, subtle, repeated, normalized. Over time, this becomes your pattern, not dramatic failure, just incomplete movement. Always close, never fully crossing over. And because it feels normal, you don't challenge it, you adapt to it. But here's the uncomfortable question. If you remove external limitations, if nothing around you changed, would you move differently? Or would the same hesitation still appear from within? Because that internal response is not random, it is patterned. And patterns repeated over time become identity. The part of you that doesn't want you to succeed isn't loud. It doesn't reject success directly. It delays it, softens it, negotiates it into something more comfortable, more familiar, more manageable. And without realizing it, you start living in that compromise. Not fully where you are, not fully where you could be, just in between. So the real question isn't whether you want success, it's whether you can recognize the part of you that quietly resists becoming someone who would have it. And what happens when you finally stop negotiating with that part and start noticing it instead?